40.
Say 39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.
2.
1.
Sí, señor and señorito, it is time for the mouthwash. Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And yeah, I have to apologize. My voice is a little scratchy today, and that's what's happened to our guest. Denise cannot talk. She has been yelling and screaming at probably that judge, and they've been feuding and fighting. And what I'm going to probably try to do is when she gets her voice back, I'll do an interview with her. But luckily, we have enough of another part of the show here that I think you'll find quite interesting. We have sort of a first time this has been seen, that we have our recorded interview with Robert Evans, and he's been trying to get phone records from the mayor Hogsett where he was the night of the riots. And I think you're going to be very surprised at what we have tonight here to show you. And it's going to be interesting. And I don't think I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be a spoiler. It's not going to answer the question where he was. So I'll just give you that little teaser right there. And hey, we're going to get into this thing. And like I said, I have a recorded interview with Robert, and it's about 15 minutes long, but it goes through the process of how to get these records and what that means. And hey, we got the regular panel on tonight. We have Jordan, Brad, and Lucy backstage waiting to go. And then also I have an excerpt from the debate where they asked Mayor Hogsett where he was, and a couple questions there. We're going to throw that up there. And we're going to have some conversation about that. So without any more talkity here, I'm going to play a little preview for tomorrow night because my lovely wife, Lisa, decided we're going to do a best of Do Something Indie show tomorrow night. And it's getting close to election. And as you know, everybody probably knows by now, she's running for the city county council, and we've been called do nothing extremists. So I don't know if that's like jumbo shrimp or what that means, but that's what they've labeled us. So I'm going to play this little clip here with Lisa, and then we're going to get the panel on here, and then we're going to get to this interesting interview with Robert Evans.
Hey everybody, Lisa here with Do Something Indie and the Mars Hill Art Center, and we are bringing a show to you tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Facebook Live at 8 p.m., and we'll also be on YouTube. And we're going to be bringing to you about 5 years worth of memories from the Do Something Indie shows, and maybe a little bit from the Art Center as well, and a lot about what's been going on in our community. So join us on Wednesday night, Facebook Live, 8 o'clock. See you then.
All right. There you go. That's what we have tomorrow night. So if you can't get enough of Mouthwash, you can get enough of Do Something Indie. And now I have to go back and edit together 5 years of stuff for tomorrow. So it's going to be so much fun. Jordan's laughing at me. I see you up there. I said, Jordan, we're going to start with you. How are you this evening?
Doing good. It looks like the snow got here early this year.
Yes, it was snowing yesterday out in Brownsburg. I was like, really? But
The
it's going to be
almanac is real.
It'll be 60. It'll be 60 like on Tuesday, next Tuesday. So, Brad, how's it going up there? I love your shirt there, Amco, like you're going to be changing some oil or something up there.
Oh yeah. This is my dad's old shirt. He actually works at or he's retired now, but he worked at the Whiting refinery up in Whiting, Indiana. So
Whiting, well, that makes sense. I mean,
and so yeah, this
Terre
is
Haute or something would be a problem. Well, so I saw you dressed up for the library. What was that? I think you were making fun of a witch up there. What was that about?
Well, no, I was like the leader of the witch hunt.
Okay.
So like I looked like a pilgrim because that was what a lot of the kids called me. I got one leprechaun, which was a hit to the ego. That was pretty bad. Like,
yeah, you might take a week or it might take 10 minutes to get over that. That might be a problem. So,
but it was a fun time.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's good to have fun. You know, I think when we get older, we forget what it's like to be a kid, but it's fun to be a kid every once in a while. Lucy, what's the red barn in the background for?
Well, it's that beautiful Indiana fall, kind of rainy, kind of a red barn, but it could be spooky. It's Halloween.
Okay.
It could be spooky. You don't really know what's going on behind me, do you?
It's like it's bleeding or something. I mean, it's like that. Yeah,
maybe
that's what it is.
It's
hot.
blood
It's like
from the sky.
Sammy Terry, George. I get it. So you guys ready for, to talk about these phone records and stuff? I mean, I know that probably got some people wanting to hear some more about this. And is that a black cat coming across there? That's for Halloween.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's
festive here.
It's my Halloween decoration. It's
that's
365 days a year.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it is good. Well, hey, let's get to this thing. I'm going to go ahead and play Robert's interview. It's a little long, but I think it's very entertaining or informational and maybe a little entertaining. I don't know. And then we will get to the discussion portion of our program. So let's see if I can make this work because I got a lot of different buttons up here. I can just push the wrong one at any time. So here you go. Let's see what we can do. Tonight, we have a special guest. We have Robert Evans, and he has been the gentleman that's been trying to get the phone records for the mayor's from the mayor's office for quite a while now. And he's finally gotten them. And he's on our show tonight, and we're going to talk about that. I think this is sort of like breaking news. Breaking news, isn't it, Robert? Is this breaking news?
It's starting to break a little bit. I think we're moving into a new phase of the investigation that I'm pretty excited about, and I hope that people will start taking it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, Robert, I've seen you out and about in the community, and you're a very knowledgeable and well-rounded guy. What in the heck made you get into this mayor's phone records thing?
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. We've known each other for about a year now, right?
Yep.
Right about a year. Okay.
Yep.
So what made me get into this, honestly, was just pure curiosity. I mean, it was really just, again, my background is in public management and policy analysis, and I'm a data nerd. When the riots happened in 2020, I saw how much of an impact it had on the city, and it had a pretty strong personal impact on my family. Sitting around when I started looking about when people were looking at accountability, it just didn't smell right. So I was just curious. I was like, hey, where was the mayor? I got really familiar with it's called the National Incident Management System, or NIMS, which is really the national system that we use that came up after Hurricane Katrina, really to coordinate all different types of government agencies in case of emergency. So when I was doing my internship, I actually wrote the crisis communications plan. So the communications template for NIMS for the city of Indianapolis. So this is back when we still had a public safety head going on. And so with that background knowledge, and as people started to talk about what happened during the riots, it felt like NIMS wasn't followed. So then I started hearing, these excuses coming out of different offices about, who was in charge. So under NIMS, the mayor, as the head of public safety for Indianapolis, should be there. Like, the buck literally stops with the mayor under the NIMS system. So I started asking some people I know in local government and everything, and everyone seemed to be really hush-hush about it. And then I realized that the Star was not picking up on this story at all. So just out of curiosity, I filed an APRA request with the city to find out.
Okay, so tell us what that is real quick.
Yeah, sure. So APRA is the Access to Public Records Act. So essentially, it is the state's version of a FOIA request, right?
Okay.
And so anything you talk about meetings, public communications between the government officials, and with the public has access to all of those things. So the first request I filed was, I believe, in the summer of 21.
Hold on a second. The summer of 21.
Summer of
that's a while ago.
Yeah. So it was the summer of 21, I believe, and I got back this email saying that basically nothing was responsive to my request, primarily because the mayor does not use an email address. And so this first request was really, really limited, because I was like, let me just see what the mayor was talking about, right? What the emails were all about. How did they interact with NIMS during this? But then I got back this email that said the mayor doesn't use an email address. I'm like, okay. And this is the capital city of the 13th largest state in the country. And how is he operating without using an email address? So I kind of sat back on it a little bit. I had some personal issues going on. I had a back injury I had to heal from, but it was always in the back of my mind. So about 6 months later, I filed another request, which was really similar to the first one, but I expanded it to phone records, any type of electronic communications. So I'm looking for things like Slack messages, internal chats, cell phone records. Didn't get anything back. I got the exact same response back, essentially. And so I'm like, this can't be right. So then I filed a third request, or either I filed a third request or they asked me for a modification to that request. So I expanded that request to not just include the mayor. I accepted that maybe the mayor himself is not using an email address, but his senior staff has to be. What stood out to me that was really funny is you can find a bunch of pictures of the mayor online sitting in front of his computer typing, but he doesn't have an email address. So what's he typing?
He does some photo things. I didn't know if you noticed.
I have no idea what it is, but he has a computer, but he doesn't have an email address. So then I expanded the request to include his senior staff, which was his chief of staff, his head of communications, and all of his deputy mayors, plus select members of the city county council, specifically VOP, who is the president of city county council, and a few of the higher ups like Zach Adamson and things like that. People that I thought the mayor would be interacting with in time of crisis. I also asked for, correspondence between the mayor and public safety officials. So we're talking about Chief Taylor. I think it was Deputy Chief Bailey, who I think was the incident commander that night, right? But again, when I expanded this request, his office pushed back on me and said that there was nothing responsive to it. And then they took months to give me anything. So this was in this past summer. And so finally, I filed a complaint with the state records counselor, who is the person that manages or oversees the APRA request for the state. They gave back an opinion that said that I actually expanded the request too far from my original one, but all the things that I had asked for were things that the mayor's office were obligated to give me. So
Okay.
I said, well, I'm just going to refile. So you want me to refile, or do you want me to, will you just honor this request? So they said they would honor this request. So to back up just a little bit, right before I filed the complaint with the state's office, they sent me one email back, which was from his former chief of staff, Thomas Cook, which was to his senior leadership saying, it was basically the mayor's statement that could be attributed to him for that day. That was sent out, I believe, that Saturday morning. So this is kind of their communication template for that. But that's it.
That's all that they know. Nothing.
That's all it is. That's all.
But wait a second. Did Mayor Hogsett just say that he was in constant communication with everybody involved? How was he doing that with smoke signals, carrier pigeons? What do you think?
Well, and see, this is where it starts to get a little tricky here, because I believe that a lot of the government work is being done on personal cell phones and emails, which makes them non-discoverable via APRA unless you have a judge tell them that they have to. So I got an email back from, I believe it's their chief counsel, Misty Mercer, that said that they had no access to private records from the mayor's staff, and they had no right to ask for them if, I believe I'm quoting, unless there was an intrusive inquiry into an actual legal matter. So really what they're saying is I have to take them to court to get the personal stuff is really what comes to.
So, and I'm sort of smelling that coming up. Is that what I don't know what that is, but
I'm very interested in I'm getting these answers. I'm very interested in figuring out the actual narrative that happened, and I don't plan on ending this until I know. And all I've asked for is one piece of evidence that validates the mayor's claims. So
yeah, and I think everyone wants to know that it has been a question that has been going on for several years now. This isn't
right,
and for it to pop up, you just got these records a week and a half ago or so, right before the election. It's sort of, they could have taken care of this 2 years ago and it would have been done. But sometimes you sweep something under the rug. The lump's so big that people keep tripping over the lump, and
right.
That's where we're at.
Well, they say the cover-up's always worse than the crime.
I don't know. I've never been involved in anything like that, as far as you
and
know.
And again, I'm not accusing, and for the record, I have not accused the mayor or his office of anything. I've just asked basic questions. So what I've gotten recently is I've gotten all of their official phone records, cell phone records, and I've also gotten their office phone records. The only reason I got the cell phone records is because after the state wrote its opinion on my complaint, I waited for a reasonable time. I think I waited like 5 weeks. And I said, hey, listen, I haven't gotten anything back. The state has spoken. So I went back to the state's records office and said, what are my options here? And they said, really, you can ask them for a timeline or you have to get it in front of a judge. Those are the only two options I have now. So I went back to, his name is Mark Bode. He is the mayor's current director of communications and told him, like, listen, either you're going to give me these records or you're going to give me, a timeline with a history of what you've done to try to access these records within 2 days, or I'm going to take you to court and ask for an expedited ruling for a judge since we have an election coming. So then they sent me the phone records. But, even before that, they were playing these interesting little games where, Mark would send me a request to clarify things, but he would send it to me at 5:30 on a Friday night and say,
so maybe you don't forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And say if I didn't respond within like 5 days, they were going to consider my request canceled. Well, number one, I told them from the front that I'm working with legal counsel on this. There's a number of attorneys that I'm friendly with who are not ready to be named, but they've been advising me on this for the last year. So everything I know that everything I'm doing is above board and I'm taking the proper steps. But they're saying they're giving me 5 days. So they're basically taking out the weekend. That doesn't give me a chance to one, consult with counsel, or two, write the proper response for them to get what I need. So they're just doing anything they can to just hold me back on them.
Yeah, the runaround. Basically, it's the old-fashioned runaround that you're getting there. But you've gotten these records, and we're going to try to show some of them, and we're going to block out numbers. But you have records for deputy mayors, communication people, for all these people, anybody that, if you were in constant communication during a riot, that you'd be talking to, and you'd think these phones would be blowing up. We just have 2 calls to David Hampton and a couple, and it doesn't even look like they were of any duration.
So what I have right now, this is really interesting because with the debates last week, the mayor stated multiple times that he was in constant communication with his representatives, which could only be his senior staff, his chief of staff, and his deputy mayors, and law enforcement. Well, the records I have, they don't show the mayor's name at all, which shows the mayor doesn't. Based on this, I don't see that the mayor actually has an official Indianapolis cell phone on this plan, which makes sense because he doesn't have an email either. So, on the record, you have the chief of staff, communications director, one other person, I'm not sure what his title is, the mayor's personal assistant, and then former deputy mayor David Hampton. And if you look at the cell phone records, the only calls made from any of those lines during the time of the riots were 2 one-minute calls at 9:30 that night made by Hampton. That's it. That's the only thing that they have.
It makes you scratch your head, doesn't it? It makes it seem like constant communication isn't quite what I thought constant communication was. And I think it raises more questions than it does answers. And I think at this point, I think the mayor needs to provide some proof that he was in constant communication, because we have something here that really shows that not so fast. He's not been in constant communication. And if you recall those events, it sure didn't seem like anybody was in, we had people murdered and killed and shot and buildings burned, and
Sure.
it was serious. Chris Beatty was murdered during that riot. And I know that that's a very sensitive issue in our city that, hey, if we had proper leadership, some things might have been different. So I commend you for your efforts on this, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of some more things and figure this thing out.
And again, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I want to be proven wrong. I want to believe that the mayor would not stand on television and lie to us. I want to believe that my neighbors care enough about, how the city is managed and basic transparency, so I just try to imagine, people with lesser connections, lesser education, lesser means trying to get these basic questions answered, and it would never happen.
And I believe they count on that. I believe they count on the shell game working.
Listen, we know that the city's going to go through another crisis like this. And there's a very real chance that this mayor will be leading the city through that crisis. So if nothing else, we should be able to raise the standard of performance by holding him accountable. And there's really no other way to do it unless we know actually what happened.
Yeah. It's like I said, I applaud you for the effort. And I thank you for coming on our show and talking about this. And we'll see what the panel has to say about this discussion and the world, because we're a worldwide show. Everybody, like we have tens of 20 of viewers or so. Now we have a few more than that, but I'm sure this is going to get some attention. And I thank you for coming on, Robert. And stay tuned, right? Stay tuned to see what else Robert Evans can dig up. We need to have like a Robert Evans crime show and digging deep with Robert Evans. I'll come up with something for you.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you. All right. There you go. What do you think about them apples?
All I gotta say is I'm in all these ladies groups on Facebook, and they know how to dox people. They do better investigative work than the FBI. And we might talk about spilling tea. He brought a gallon. We talk about showing the receipts. We got to buy another whole ream of paper for the amount of receipts this man has.
Yeah,
what an awesome guy.
He's been working on this thing, and he just sort of took it upon himself. It's just sort of like our show. We just sort of start digging around and see what happens to these things. And from what from my experience being around Joe, he's more interested in being at festivals, and I think he's really disconnected. I mean, these phone records, that does not surprise me that he just turns it off to his people and catch me on Monday, and we'll see what cash me outside on that. So what do you want to look at next, group? We have I have phone records, or I have the little clip from the debate where it says where Joe was from. What do you think about? Let's do the clip first. Let's see if I can figure this out here. So let's add it to stage, and then I got to go do something here. So let's see. Okay.
Riots earlier, it was obviously a key moment of the past 4 years. An independent review blamed, among other things, a lack of planning, coordination, and communication by IMPD and the city. It also found police actions escalated the tensions that we saw that weekend in 2020. There have also been lingering questions about your role, Mr. Hogsett, in that weekend's response. So, Mr. Hogsett, we'll go to you on this one again. Let's ask this. Do you agree with the report findings that there was a lack of planning, coordination, and communication? And where were you on the night of the riots?
Well, first of all, the question about the report, I embraced it because I put the committee together. Deborah Daniels and former Justice Myra Selby and Sean Huddleston, the president of Martin University, did a very thorough job. My office fully participated. And in answer to your second question, Phil, I was working from my home. I was in constant contact with my representatives, with IMPD. After things started to dissipate that evening, I got about 2 or 3 hours of rest and got up at 4 o'clock the next day, worked the rest of the weekend, meeting with organizers of the protests, and ultimately issued the order to have the protests ended, and that was effective. It was George Floyd changed the world.
Is he invoking like his one black friend?
Yeah.
George Floyd changed the world.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's like
exactly
so
what it
lame.
was.
He was
That's so
struggling
lame.
there. I mean, it's like I'm no body language expert, but that seemed like he was very awkward on that. And
Looks like
these,
he's had Botox.
yeah, probably some of that. I don't know. He just, I think he looked very tired. I mean, he looks very tired of this stuff. So, but this is a question that he could have answered a long time ago, and it seems like he's had different answers on things, and there's been different rumors of what he's been doing. So let's go around here and let's Jordan, what do you see here? What do you think?
Well, I know Robert, he's a thorough guy, and he brings to the civic table some really good evidence. And from looking at this, there were key things that were mentioned by Robert, like Vop's name, for instance, being mentioned. To me, it honestly seems like Hogsett's the figurehead, completely. And it seems like that they thought that this riot was a fizzle. They were active, but they lied about the levels of communication, or I should say, omit the level of communication. So I don't think he's pulling any strings. He looked like he was trying to remember, struggling to remember something that is very vivid in a lot of Hoosiers' minds. He had to go back in his mind and try to figure out what he could think of. It just sounds to me that they didn't think that it was that serious, and they left IMPD scrambling like a chick with their head chopped off.
Yeah, well,
I
and
lie about it.
Robert's going to continue on. He's not going to stop. He's got some more requests in, and he's looking at maybe some if they've used their personal phones for government business, then those can be brought into play. And
my last thing I'll add to that too, John, is if it say that he was involved and he's allowing this to go on and the evidence is built up against him, I hope that the Democrats understand that this is bad for a vote of confidence. Like, why would you have confidence in a person that you didn't lie, but you omitted this to allow it to make your character and your leadership be tarnished? You can't recover from that.
Yeah. Well, hey, Brad, you're a Democrat. What do you think?
I got
a lone Democrat.
I got a couple of issues. Mainly, how does the mayor not have an email? Like that struck. I was that I didn't get it. And the amount of time that he had to take to specify. I feel like there's two issues at stake here. Sorry. The first one though is like, where was the mayor? And I had not been paying attention to this, to be honest. So I don't care. Like, if he says he was at home, great, but he should have said it a long time ago. It should not have taken this long. That's the second issue to me, is this should not have been that hard. Government officials, I don't know why they're not only allowed to use like government cell phones so they can be like, here's all of these calls. Like, I mean, it should not be this difficult to just kind of skirt around it or like make people jump through hoops. It's like people have, it is irrational to think that like the public could do that, I guess. So
yeah, and we have his office records. We're going to show the phone calls from his office, from Mayor Hogsett's phone. And I think you'll find it very interesting on those calls. And one that stuck out to me was on the Monday, an hour and 7-minute conversation somewhere. And I'm like, wow, that's a long conversation to somebody. And for somebody that's really busy in constant communication with other people to take a whole hour off to chit chat to somebody else. I mean, maybe it was, to Homeland Security or something. Maybe it was. I'm gonna think that it was. So, Lucy, what do you think about this? I mean, taxation's theft. I'll get that right out of the
Yeah,
way. But
exactly. Well, what's really upsetting? Taxation is theft, and they're stealing tax dollars from us to give that man a salary. And he clearly can't do the job. There's obviously a lack of leadership. He just admitted he didn't actually say that he was in his basement, but he was working from home. He's like in his panic room, right? Maybe that's why there were no cell phone calls, because the panic room is secretly a Faraday cage, and he just couldn't get an internet signal out. That's what it is. I've come up with his excuse for him.
yeah, well, for his fictitious email account, I mean, he could just put like Joe at Gmail or something. Couldn't he make that? I mean, that hard. So, okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I want to put up some cell phones. Let's go with his office first, and then we'll go down through his staff. And like I said, Robert worked hard for 2 years to get these. So we're just oh, look, you can still see us. Isn't that great? So this is his office phone, and we blocked out the numbers there. But you'll see the riots were on the 28th and the 29th. And so the last call in his office was 2:22 p.m. On that Friday. And then on the Saturday, he had a couple, or wait, as Friday was the 29th, was it? So anyway, he had a couple calls there, 10:23 a.m. And as you can see, they were literally 6 seconds. And just because it was his phone doesn't mean it was him. It just means that those calls were being made there. And then you just jump down here and you see there was one there, looks like on the 29th, that was 2 minutes. And they might have been one of the staffers calling to find out where he is. So you never know. But the one I was talking about was down here on 6/1 at 10:03 a.m. I believe that would have been the Monday, an hour and 7 talking there, and it's long distance. So that he might have been talking to, this Homeland Security or something. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt of that. So there's the office records. So let's go to his chief of staff. This is his chief of staff. Now, be prepared. This is a very, very long list that I'm getting ready to show you. And it may take us 10 to 15 minutes to go over. There's no calls. Zero. There's no calls. So, but you would, now his communications director. Now this is a long list. I mean, it's quadruple what his was. There you go.
Quadruple.
Quadruple.
Wait a second. So this is like the mouth of Sauron.
Yes, mouth of Sauron. Yeah, we're on our way to Mordor. We're going to get somebody. Yeah, this is at the time. I do not think
he's pretty short. I guess he could be a dwarf.
Oh my gosh, he's a hobbit. He's
oh
yeah. The ring of power has gone to his head. But you can see we have one call, 10 minutes at 4:19 p.m. So that's really got nothing to do with nothing there. So let's take that one off. Now you'd think like a deputy mayor. Let's look at the deputy mayors here. Now this one's a very long list too.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look, 2 1-minute calls at 9:34 p.m. That's probably, there might have been calling in something almost on that one. And then we have this feller here. He's I don't know what he does. I think Robert, somebody knew him. Robert might have known him or somebody I was talking to. But you can see he's got no calls, no calls involved in that time period. And then we have one more. We have one more, Pam. She's a mayor administrator. She's got another long list of calls. So there you have it. That's pretty much his staff at the time. And those are the records that they provided. Now, if there's more, then, they might be either incriminating or whatever, but that's what they are saying is the totality of their records. And it's, I said, it's very shocking. And when I talked to Robert the first time, he says, you'll be more surprised what's not there than you will be what is there. So there's no, I mean, the ball's in Mayor Hogsett's court, I would say at this point. Hey, what's up? Are you going to be providing some more evidence to show that you were in constant communication, or did they have like two cans with a string, a can here and a string going to the police officer or whatever, and they just didn't hold the string tight enough, and the sound wouldn't go through it. But
the protesters cut the string.
Somebody cut the string. Yeah, those
I like
protesters.
what that Jules Winfield said in the comments, where he said that they were using burner phones.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Well, it's like, and that's what you wonder,
sorry.
because they're supposed to be using, is this supposed to be a transparent
Okay,
thing?
So this raises.
I'm the female here on the panel, so I'm going to be the one to say it. I want a real man to lead, right? Like he's like, I gave the order to stop the riots and it was successful. I'm like, dude, like get in the tank with your AK-47, hanging, above your head and lead the charge yourself. Show a little toxic masculinity.
I think it's weird that the only person out of all of his administration that had the longest phone call was Taylor, and that was 15 minutes.
No, 10 minutes.
Sorry, 10 minutes. I thought I saw it was 15. Like the highest call that he had on his list was 15 minutes. So during that time frame, if they're having communications outside of any type of infrastructure that's provided by the state, paid for by the taxpayers' dollars, how is this? Why are we not blowing up about this? I mean, what if someone hacks into these people's personal phones and get information that is very confidential or critical to the state? It just raises so many questions about what really goes on in that administration, or what has been, and how well that information that was passed through that administration was protected. I mean, if they're communicating with their own personal means, I mean, we will have a right to ask that question. What safeguards do they have in place?
And I think if you recall the riot, it seemed like they were sort of had it under control around 9:30. And then it seemed like, stand down is what I was hearing. Yep. It's like, oh, just let them go or whatever. And I think the state was protecting the Capitol, but then they sort of backed away with that. I think they even shot out some tear gas or whatever. That may have, got them going. But as far as anybody seeming like they were in charge, it was like locusts. They advance in ranks, yet they have no king. And the first night, okay. The second night, it was like, what? There's just really no reason for it to happen two nights in a row. I remember they painted the Sailors and Soldiers Monument with paint and broke windows and looted the TJ Maxx downtown. And it was just sad for us. I know we dodged the Kennedy riots when Bobby Kennedy or when Martin Luther King was shot. Bobby Kennedy was here, and Detroit burned and some other cities burned, but Indianapolis did not, because Bobby Kennedy calmed the crowd, and they actually have a Kennedy King Park where that speech took place. So I didn't see a Bobby Kennedy here in our city to calm the thing. Brad, what are you thinking here?
And if only we did have a leader in charge at that time, like in the White House, that could have calmed everything down. Lucy, that would have been nice, right? Like, I mean, it would have been nice to have like a calming presence throughout the land at that point with COVID and all that crap going on. It would have been real nice to just have somebody lead.
Anybody.
I agree with Lucy. Up. I don't know what else to say about that. Nobody, I don't think, knew what to do about mainly anything at that point. So not as an out, but like, and I know that we have to like double down now on like education and like getting kids back into reading and like getting their education levels back up. Like the pandemic did a lot to halt us. And it's like, I'd rather stop talking about, where people were, and like, we gotta, put our foot on the gas again.
Like I say, the windshield's a lot bigger than the rear view mirror. And, a lot of times you can take care of things by just coming out and taking the bull by the horns. And he's even got a commercial out. The responsibility is mine. All right. The buck stops here. And
then take it.
Stuff.
But I was thinking about this too. Like, if this were to happen in the 70s, for instance, like, we wouldn't have cell phone records. We wouldn't have anything to like look back on and like try to say, you weren't in charge. And so I feel like I know that we have that option, but and I love that Robert like went through everything that he did to get that, like that. And again, it should not take that much.
Yeah.
To
Well,
get
that's
that
his standard
information.
policy. Getting anything from a government official on things, they're busy. I get it, they're busy, but
Can I point out that like in the 70s, we would like literally call out the National Guard and pick off a couple of college students with some sniper rifles.
Yeah,
For
yeah, you
lessons.
don't remember that,
waiting
Todd?
on you, Lucy. I was
You knew I was
waiting.
gonna say.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, that was Ohio.
What
in
is
Ohio?
that?
They,
Posse
State.
Comitatus? Is that what that is?
I think so.
Yeah,
Like,
I
think
heard
so.
this like last
that was
phrase.
Kent
Don't know what it
State.
means.
Kent State, 1972. My design teacher.
1970.
Was it 70? I thought it was 72.
Google says May 4th, 1970.
Well, then Google's right. My design teacher was in college then and was at the grassy knoll. So we heard that story every other week about how she survived the shootings.
Can I say this? Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which removed the military from regular civil law enforcement, was enacted in responses to the abuses resulting from the extensive use of the Army in civil law enforcement during the Civil War and the Reconstruction. The act allows legislated exceptions. So remember, people, our standing army is not supposed to be a police force. Not that we're supposed to even have a standing army, but we certainly shouldn't have National Guard and tanks like rolling up and literally killing college students.
No,
and then yeah,
Tiananmen Square. So like that deal. Yeah. So I mean, Brad, there has been different things, and a lot of stuff was happening in the 60s with the racial tensions and that, and they were a lot of assassinations. It seemed like that was the 60s were if you didn't like them, shoot them type of thing. Well, we're going to shift gears because what do you got there? Some Halloween candy?
I'm just wanting to demonstrate to you that sometimes taxation is theft and I'm the thief. So while we're off camera, we enact Halloween taxes on our kids. So while, you guys have been talking, I've been like doing Snickers and Reese's and Kit Kats and.
Yeah.
But I thought it was theft, Lucy.
It is. And isn't it good to be the one in charge? I'm the one with irresistible force because I've got the power of the checkbook.
Since we're talking about TIFs now or taxes, there was I was at a raffle where it was a Halloween little party thing, and there was a gal there, and she had a costume on, and they were going to give prizes away, and it was a really good costume. She thought that she was going to win this prize money. So they do the contest and she didn't win. So then she comes up to pay her tab and she says, I don't have any money. I thought I was going to win. And I'm like, oh, that's a perfect example of a TIF. Let's do a tax increment fund. And then when we don't raise the taxes, we can't pay the bill. So there you go. There's your layman's term of how a TIF works. So, so let's shift gears a little bit.
That sounded like it worked out for her, though. So,
Yeah, I know. Well, the bar people weren't too happy. But and I don't even know it was a good costume, but
I'm kidding. Like in the TIF part, but
you would have if you were there in your pilgrim outfit, Brad, you would have won. So okay. So we do have Mark Small. Unfortunately, he was going to talk about the constable. I mean, we might as well play Mark Small, and we'll talk about a little bit of that. I'll give you as much information as I know. And as I say, I'd like to get an interview when her voice comes back because she was willing and gung-ho to be on the show, and it just didn't work out. So let's go ahead and play the Mark Small here, and we'll see you on the other side. And pay attention to the very end of this, especially you, Jordan, because this reminds me of our Get Your Property Taxes Appealed. So just keep that in mind. So here you go.
Hi, Mark Small. This is Small Talk. Marion County, Indiana, where Indianapolis is located, has 9 townships. What's a township? Well, it's kind of a part of government because it was created like in the 1800s. We still have it around. And that's generally where the small claims courts are. Here in Marion County, those are the courts that normally handle landlord-tenant disputes. In other words, landlord disputes, because we have landlord law. Now, it used to be that a landlord landlords' attorneys could pick the township in which they'd file for an eviction. Well, when they do that, and it's all in one township, things get a little skewed. So the law changed, and you have to file for an eviction and back rent, generally, in the township in which the property is located. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means when you've got the constable getting paid salary, I guess, but they also get paid for every time they serve process on somebody. They go out and they serve an order. Those filing fees mount up, and generally the constable is the most highly paid public official in township. When they run against the slate and they're elected, guess what? It means they're running against what the party wanted to have in there. Well, somebody had worked for the party for a while and they were supposed to get this plum job and everything, and they didn't. And that apparently happens once in a while, as it's happening right here in Marion County with one of our townships. Here's the thing. When somebody runs against who the party really wants for that office and they win, they won. Get over it. People shouldn't be having to worry about whether somebody's being frozen out as a constable. Let's talk about reality. If you really want to mess up the court system, the small claim court system, and get people's attention, everybody getting sued for an eviction or something, request a jury trial. They'll send everything downtown. You really want to do a protest? Do that. Ask for due process. They don't know what to do with it. Peace. Mark Small talk.
There you go, Jordan. I figured you like
brilliant.
that
What
one.
he said was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Ask for due process. They can't handle it. This is what I tell people even about traffic court is show up. Show up.
Yeah.
When I was in traffic court, when I was younger, it was a little bit of a hobby. And so I came in with a list of questions and I literally had the peanut gallery laughing. It was beautiful.
And Poindexter up in Carmel has a very interesting traffic court. Now, if you were to do that, I got a safety belt violation. I had it on, I had it under my arm, and apparently there's an improper wearing of your safety belt, not just wearing it. You got to wear it right. I'm like, really?
Who says
So I go,
what's right?
I'm going to
an
go up
artist.
there. I'm going to try to fight this thing. So he put those minor violations at the very back. So 2 hours later, it's very lucky he was very entertaining. The guy was hilarious. Now I think they moved him up to a different judge thing, but it was sort of like night court. I was just laughing at they had done a sting on 465, and if you were going 15 over the speed limit, it was a $191 traffic ticket. And so, and there was all these kids and their parents in there, and he's, it was good. It was fun. I had to pay my whole $25 ticket. I went up there at the end. I said, this was worth $25 to sit through and watch this. I plead guilty. So that was my traffic court situation. But so what I'm gathering here is that I give you the cliff notes of this, of what I know. And like I said, hopefully I'll be able to get Denise to do an interview. The constable works with the judge, and this judge is named Brenda Roper. And the party wanted someone else in this constable thing. So she sort of upset the apple cart. Now she gets in there and she's sort of doing things her way. I know that about 3 or 4 months ago that she got in, somebody was getting evicted and she got in the way of the eviction and was saying that there was paperwork that wasn't filed right and all that. So that started the rift. So now they have gone, instead of getting her to do the work in Center Township, they've gone to the surrounding townships and given them the jobs. So as you heard Mark say, that's how the constable gets paid. So they're basically cutting off her funding in that way and another way, and basically handcuffing her. So yesterday, I see on the news that she had arrested 2 of the township trustees' employees because they were interfering with her investigation.
Beautiful.
So she takes them down there like Barney Five, and she's like, okay, you guys need to process these people. And they say, no, we don't. And so I don't know if she just let them go or what happened, but so it's just a mess. It's a big mess. So I don't know what's going to become of it. I talked to another judge who shall not be named, and he basically said no comment on this, but he's another township judge, and he's just no comment, like she's crazy. The judge, so we'll see what happens. And he also, no comment, said that there's probably going to be some lawsuits on this. And it's like, okay, that's great. The courts suing each other. They're just sort of tearing each other apart from the inside. So that's sort of the long and the short of that. And I don't know if there's room for any. You guys can sure ask any questions or comments here if you want. But no, that's where we're at in Center Township. Sort of watch the news and see what happens because she's got no voice now, probably from yelling at these people and trying to get things done. So yeah, I think one of the problems was there's a new 25-foot law that if you get within that 25-foot range, you can be, hauled in. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens with that. But yep. So anybody else got anything else? Any Halloween stories? Or, Lisa was handing out trick or treat tonight with her door hanger and a dum dum sucker stuck in it. And the kids loved it. They were down there saying, we're studying this in school. So, always never miss an opportunity to campaign. She's going to be a great politician.
Well, we haven't yet talked about how the cabal is probably literally sacrificing human beings tonight, since it's Samhain.
Oh, well, do you want to save that for conspiracy theory or you want to go into the conspiracy theory
well,
mode,
it's not a theory, so.
I know.
Well, is that going to be in the mayor's records too then? There's going to be a gap somewhere.
Yeah, like the only recording we have is like, hey, man, you got the adrenochrome?
Yeah, I left it in my other suit. I'll email you. Oh, wait, I can't do that. I don't have an email.
Like, what the really? Like, no email. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
So do they send him little messages? I feel like he has this person just walks up to him.
Oh my God.
Sir, your letter.
They do him fortune cookies. They give him fortune cookies and he opens them and then they
I was going to say, and I don't have any here, we ought to call him the Post-it note mayor. And Jefferson Shreve ought to come out with Post-it notes.
Hey, Jefferson Shreve was coming out with tax, some property tax relief today. So he's throwing every piece of junk he's got at this thing.
You know what Jefferson Shreve needs is some personal branding. I mean, they look like the exact same guy. It's almost like a casting call. White guy 1, white guy 2.
It's the same thing we had last time. Jim Merritt and Joe Hogsett were fraternity brothers at IU. They were both Fijis. I mean, it's not like,
oh man,
that's even worse.
I can say this because I'm an old white dude, but I'm tired of the old white dudes.
It's like trying to pick a potato salad, 2 potato salads out of pocket. And
mustard or mayonnaise.
It's like you
which one's got celery.
You got to sample them to figure out which one you like. So we already sample Hogsett. So at this point,
well, that's that's sort of the case. And when we get this kind of money, who's got $4 to $5 million to run for mayor? And I think Jefferson has spent $14 million or something like that. And I think Hogsett's $6 million. It's like every other commercial's one of theirs, and on all sorts of media. And it's like you said, it's just sort of the same thing. And I think it's going to be interesting. Being out on the campaign, seeing from the last election, it's a lot different. I mean, last time I think everybody was willing to give Joe another shot at it. This time, I don't know, maybe not. So we'll see how that plays out 1 week from now. Oh, and while we're at that, probably going to do a best of for next week. And then we also have Chris Spangle coming on. Lucy,
yes,
did I say that
14th,
right?
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today, and he's a libertarian, and he does a show called Walnuts or something like that. Or
we are libertarians, WAL. So you're a walnut if you're a fan.
Okay.
Walnut.
Man, the walnuts had a bumper crop this year. I mean, the real ones, because I go out in people's houses and these walnuts are all over the place. It's crazy. And then we have Chris.
Man, you got to be grabbing those up and throwing them in alcohol.
Ooh.
Making a tincture of the green holes of the black walnut, and it kills parasites. You can deworm yourself with that.
If I drank it, I would die because I'm a parasite.
We're just
I don't need to write a book. Everybody else already wrote the books. I'm just gonna
just reading the books. Well, I'm still in awe of Lucy's question last week with Watson. That was probably one of our highlightest or one of our most interesting moments in our 144 show history of things. And when Dana Black called out the Republicans on Curtis Hill, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
We got to put that on the highlight reel. But So, and then we have Chris Widener coming on. Now, this guy, we're getting national people wanting to be on our show. And then I got another guy that's coming on that wants to come on that has written a couple books that's contacting us. So he has 191,000 followers on something.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. So,
That's
and
like big
he
time.
wants to be on our show. Okay, I got you. So, all right, are we ready for the conspiracy? Brad, you got anything more to add in here? Your buddy Democrat, the whatever, he's probably going to win. I mean, let's do a prediction real quick on what you think the percentages are going to be. I'll go first. I'm going to say 55-45 is my guess. Yeah, 55 Hogsett, 45 for Shreve. That's just my guess. What do you think, Lucy?
69-31.
Ooh, 69-31. Brad?
70-30, yeah.
70-30, okay. Jordan?
60-40.
60-40, okay. That's the bottom people down there, Jordan. They're not very optimistic about anything, really. It's probably they probably turned their light out on the trick-or-treaters too. Probably that way.
Yeah, I agree with Lisa. I think Shreves may get it. Like, depending on how this roll, they may give him a shot.
Lisa says, I bet Shreve upset. So there you go.
I don't even care if I were like a Democrat or Republican.
Jules says 67 for the Hog.
67. Man, seeing all that, Joe just like drunk everywhere, like I'd have to go for Shreve in that case.
What do you guys think the voter turnout's going to be though, like percentage wise?
I think I've noticed that the Republicans that I've been door knocking, they're anxious to vote, and I just don't feel the same energy on the other side. But hey, I'm just on the west side.
Okay, so can I put down another pet peeve? This is in the governor's race with Suzanne Crouch, and I am so sick and tired of her stealing libertarian ideals and then trying to act like she's for freedom. She's got this whole axe the tax thing. It's like, girlfriend, let me tell you, like we had that forever and ever. And you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You love that money. You're not going to do it.
She may actually do it, Lucy. What if she?
Yeah, we are. Not only is taxation theft is too high.
Jordan, I can't say this on air because it's too off color, but it reminds me of a little lie that men often tell women.
Oh boy. As we digress.
Well played.
How fast can I hit the button for the conspiracy? Because these are definitely conspiracy thoughts.
I'll tell you, the big conspiracy is I don't have my conspiracy tinfoil hat, so I've got to ask somebody. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. That's a good Halloween joke. If you don't know,
you better axe the tax. Axe the tax. So, all right, everybody get ready. Get your ears ready, Brad. I know you.
No, you gotta wait. Dorn's got to go get he's got to get my tinfoil hat. Yeah.
Hey, Dorn, make her a sandwich while you're down there. The meatloaf, Ma, the meatloaf.
Actually, like twice this week. Now, this won't matter to anybody that's not in Washington County area, Indiana, but shameless plug for one of my husband's digital marketing clients. He actually has an Amish bakery that's his digital marketing client. And they have like the best sandwiches. I've had 2 sandwiches this week and it's only Tuesday. Okay, now we can go.
Okay. All right, we're ready. Get your hats on.
Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
It's just the tip.
All right, all right.
I don't know if my mic was live. Oh, shit. Sorry. Dora was like, what was you going to say? And then John comes back. You better edit that out, man. Like, seriously.
No.
I don't think we're going to. That was pretty good. I'll try to bail you out, though. This was when Lisa was on Match.com. She said they would say they were 6 feet tall and they were like 5'6".
Oh, who is that female comedian? Is it Monique? She said, I've got a friend named Alexis. She looks more like a Buick.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still some nightmare stories on the dating scene. It's like, yeah, that's all good. So anyway, we're here. We're at the conspiracy theory portion of the program. And let's see, Jordan's ready to go. He's like all strapped in there, like he's going to the space shuttle.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, yes, it works. Yeah, it stops the pollution too.
Yeah, he's stopping that. Look at that. Is that like a newfangled mask? I hear some
So
people are
this is
masking up.
actually called a Dyson's zone. So
Oh,
in these
okay.
zones, it pulls in the air and then it pumps it directly up to the mask. So it stops all
You're
the stuff like that.
you're
And as a
too fancy to be on
microphone,
this show. You got too much technology. You probably don't even have an email. But you have that. So Jordan,
no,
what do you have anything? Do you have any conspiracies tonight?
yeah, probably. Let me see here. No, actually, I don't. It's Halloween. I'm just glad that people are not being wanting to move their ground forces in now. They're ready to start moving in. And the U.S. also is trying to say that they're in fear of terrorist attacks happening here, stateside. So whatever we hear out there, just keep your head on the swivel and pray for peace.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, peace on earth, all goodwill towards men. Little Charlie Brown action. So Brad, you got any conspiracies for us? Any White Sox?
Yes.
Any?
No. I have it's about Facebook censoring me.
What?
In my speech? Yeah. Like
what'd you do, Brad?
So, well, I don't know yet because Facebook is censoring my speech because Micah Beckwith, his page is not showing up in my feed anymore, and so I don't know what Facebook is trying to do, but it's not letting me like look at it anymore or like follow his page anymore. Like I sent him a question. It was, did you miss the retreat for the HEPL board members? I heard the other members attended, but just wanted to make sure. Are you planning on attending any trainings or retreats as a makeup? And then after that, like Facebook censored me, I guess. Like I don't know why. It
wasn't him. I mean, you didn't get blocked by Micah. You just and that doesn't sound like him. I don't think he blocks anybody.
Yeah, like I mean, that was weird. Like he and I usually are able to talk about stuff. And that wasn't over the line. I think I was polite and used proper grammar.
Well, it's funny. Maybe he came off of your page and he ended up on a mailer with Lisa down here in the 17 about him and Lisa are do nothing extremists. So I don't know what Micah Beckwith has to do with City County Council in 17, but the Democrats think that he has something to do with it. So I think anything you could tie somebody to something else, let's go ahead and do it. Let's try it. So
Micah inserts himself into a lot of places.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's not going to put it in some Democrat thing.
Oh God, Lucy, don't like that.
You can't say anything around me, dude. I have 10 kids. You know.
No, now it's like, all right. Well, no, now we can't edit any of this out, can we? Right.
No.
Well,
Channel 40.
Fortunately, the tinfoil hat doesn't go on the Channel 40 because they don't put up with none of it. I shot a show today with the other show, and I said something about we were talking about the new diabetic. We're talking about Care Source and diabetes, and there's a new diabetic drug out that actually you lose a lot of weight. And the side effect is you lose a lot of weight. I got a friend on it that's lost like 60, 80 pounds. So I compared it to Viagra. It was supposed to be a heart medicine, but then it did something else. So I may be getting a note from Keith on that because I said Viagra on the air. I might be getting in trouble for it. So I'm definitely not going to get a raise, if you know what I mean. So there you go. But let's go ahead, Lucy.
Oh my gosh. I've got like this. Okay, so y'all are old enough. You'll remember this. Remember the like Kodak slideshows with the little you got to go watch somebody's travel log at the library, right?
The Viewmasters.
The Black Cat. That's what happens to me every time during these conspiracy theory segments, because I'm like, I got this conspiracy fact and that one. I'm going through the slideshow, clicking the remote. So what I got to go with today, there's the obvious elites like Celine Dion and adrenochrome and all that, boring. We all already know that's true. But one of my favorite people on YouTube that I've been following recently is this guy named Billy Carson. And we've been talking a lot in our family about, did we land on the moon? Did we not land on the moon? And Billy Carson has the best theory yet, which is, yes, we went to the moon. And this shocked me. I didn't know this. All of the footage and the video from inside, so this is tying it back to our guest, from inside the capsules, with the astronauts talking back and forth is all public record. Like you can go get this stuff. And there are a whole bunch of like tens of thousands of pictures that the Mars rover took. And so there are people that go and like look at every single little piece of those pictures and find anomalies. And there's a legit one that looks like a guy like he's looking through his window at you. Like if you were like landing in the middle of a street but your street was a cave and the guy's like looking at you. But what Billy Carson says about the moon landing, which I thought was fascinating, is yeah, we went there. And if you listen to what the audio is from like Buzz Aldrich and those, it's like something along the lines of, dude, they're never going to get out of there. Like talking about people in domes, like it's a prison, which is kind of interesting. So Billy Carson's theory is, yes, we went to the moon. And then we couldn't show people all the good stuff, right? That there are domes on the moon. And when they went to the backside of the moon, there was music playing. That's another thing that you get to hear. It's like very eerie space type music, like somebody encoded it.
It wasn't Pink Floyd.
No, it was not. It was not on the dark side of the moon,
Seemed obvious to
sadly.
me.
But it couldn't have been Houston because when we're on the other side of the moon, of course, the moon is blocking the signal. So they couldn't have, there was nowhere to bounce that signal off of. So apparently Stanley Kubrick or somebody was hired to do the fake moon landing on the actual set. So they'd have something to show people, but not reveal the actual domes and 7 to 9 foot tall black people. Now they use the term black people. It's not clear whether they were actually people of like African American descent with lots of melanin, or if they were like in a skin suit.
Well, that's a lot of sun, Lucy.
It is.
There's no clouds on the moon at last time I checked.
And it's very
That's a lot
reflective.
of fun.
Very reflective. When the astronauts go up there, they legit use gold in their visors to protect them from the rays of the sun. Like that's legit. That's true. So for those of you who are interested, go watch Billy Carson.
Is that Johnny Carson's son?
Nope. It's this real good
Third
looking
cousin.
black dude that's very,
Third
very
cousin,
smart.
Yeah. Did he interview Anne Margaret, a daughter or whatever? So, that is the moon landing. That's never been a that's what are you gonna have next week? Flat Earth. That's
Oh my gosh. Oh my. Now I'll tell you what. This is the thing that I have a problem with the flat Earth people, is that they always say there's an ice wall. I'm like, okay, well then go there and take a selfie. Well, we can't get there. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. It's bring me back a margarita if you go there. So I'm going to go with the Magic 8 Ball tonight on my conspiracy. This is the Magic 8 Ball is going to say, are we ever going to find out where in their world was Carmen Sandy Hogsett for the riots?
That was a good one.
You remember that one? That show? That was a good show. Let's see what we got here. My sources say no.
Wow.
The 8 Ball does not lie. It has not lied in a while. Let's take it to another test. Will the Colts win next weekend? I hope they have a bye.
Don't push your luck.
They let's see what they got here. Come on. My reply is no.
Well,
bad news for everybody all around. 2 for 2.
What'd you expect?
All right. Well, folks, I don't think we'll have a show next Tuesday. I think we're going to do the best of. So, that'll be good. And,
oh my gosh, you're giving us a day off? I hope it's with pay. If you're not going to give me the same pay rate, then
it's with pay. And now that you mentioned that, Lucy, I do have to thank you all on here for doing this just for the fun of it, because it is certainly fun.
It really is.
But it certainly doesn't pay. Someday you may be stars or something, and you would say, hey, we started with John. I'll still be here doing this little show. You guys have all moved on to the upper echelons. You'll be the Britney Spears and the Matt Perry.
Well, John, you'll definitely be the Mr. Rogers of us. No worries. You'll be Mr. Rogers to us.
Yes.
That's
Won't you be my neighbor? Yes, that's good. All right, kids. We had a great time. I forgot to put this up on the conspiracy theory. So there you go. You get that, and that's it.
If anybody takes this seriously,
I love that flash with the hat.
Yeah, that was a disclaimer. It's like, hey, who let the dogs out? Rough. All right. So there you go. Hey, we'll see you in a couple weeks. But hey, watch next week. See, we'll watch next week. I'm gonna put together some best ofs. I'm not gonna be taking, eating bonbons and having Lisa rub my feet. I won't. I'll be working still. And then do something indie tomorrow night at 8. We'd love to see some people over there. We're gonna do a best of there. So there you go. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming on tonight. And thanks, viewers, for
Good luck
watching.
to Lisa.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah!